It's time to tinker and talk the night away. Grab your glue and paints, we're back again. It's model making day. From classic cars to soaring planes and steam trains on the track. Whether die-cast builds or part work kits, there's no turning back. So let's tinker and talk, just you and me, building dreams from plastic, one sprue at a time. You see, whether sanding down or fitting parts, we share the joy, that's how it starts. Come along, let's tinker and talk the night away. Oh, got a Mustang here and a Spitfire too, maybe a steam train. The smell of glue, the sound of chat, in this world we all remain. Got a tip or trick, then drop it in chat. We build as friends, not just fans. This bench is open, the stream is live. Come lend a helping hand. Yeah, we tinker and talk with laughs and care. The hobby's better when you've got good folks to share. From sanding wheels to fixing wings, we celebrate the little things. So come on in, let's tinker and talk the night away. Screws and glue, just me and you, talking shop till the model's through. A misstep here, a perfect fit, we cheer each other every bit. Let's tinker and talk under workshop lights, chasing calm and joy through long creative nights. From revel kits to die-cast dreams, we're builders, makers, part of a team. It's Tuesday night, let's tinker and talk the night away.
Good evening all, and welcome to another Tinker and Talk Tuesday. Now, if you missed the live stream a couple of weeks ago, I showed off this. This is my sort of template, I guess, or a guide for me just doing a little bit of a test on the scale of this diorama. So that is effectively going to be the front piece where the DB5 is going to be sat. Now, if you don't know what the plan is, check out the previous videos. There's a video saying about the plan of what I'm actually going to be doing. Obviously, I'm going to show you a little bit of what I'm doing tonight anyway. But basically, it's going to be that the DB5 is going to be sat in this tunnel in an unfinished state. So tonight's stream, I'm hoping that at the very least, I'm going to be building the chassis. So they're not going to be in order. I've actually got pack 3, 4, and 5 here because I believe they are all the boxes that have the chassis components in. So I'm going to be starting with that. And I'll show you in a moment what I've got here, just to tell you why I'm building the chassis and not anything else at the moment. So I'll take you over the workbench and we can get building. Right, let's move that out of the way. Right, so this is basically a car dolly. I just found an image online and this is sort of the idea of what I want to do. Now, if I just flick over and show you this picture, this is sort of the thing that I'm looking to do. So basically, the DB5's up on a trolley and this is in Spectre, where you've got Q saying that I expect him to bring it back in one piece, not bring back one piece. So that's why the diorama is called One Piece. So that is what I'm going to try and replicate. That tunnel area the little surrounding bit. The tunnel's not going to be as deep as what it probably is on the film, just because I've got a constraint of 1 meter by 1 meter. So I'm going to probably make it a little bit shallower, which also means that the car's going to stick out a little bit further out the front. But it's going to be hopefully on a dolly like this. Hey, Bergdes. Now, I went to B&Q the other day, and I got myself some 10mm square tubing. I also found some 8mm square tubing. Well, not quite square because it's actually a U shape, but it slides in and out of there absolutely perfectly. And I think that's going to be a great thing for this main section here. Going to put some bolts for it, so it'll be effectively adjustable dolly that I'm creating, including these stands that will go up and down. And as you can see, it's just a simple square tubing bolt together job. So I've just got to get this to the right size, and obviously, or reasonable right size, because obviously it's going to be adjustable. But the only way that I'm going to know that is basically build the chassis, so I know where the stanchions are going to be. So that is, I decided what I'm going to do tonight, and then I can hopefully, if the chassis gets done, then maybe I'll start on some measurements for the dolly itself. I definitely don't have enough of this to create the full dolly, but this is just a bit of a test. I think this is probably about 1 meter. Yeah, it's probably about 1 meter long, that. So that is effectively my size constraint, that square. So we shall put that to one side as well. Just going to adjust my microphone a second, sorry. That's better. So as I say, I've got packs 3, 4 and 5 here. I need to pull up the instructions on my computer. That one is 4, so we'll move those ones out of the way. Now, as you can see, I haven't actually opened these. To quickly find out where the chassis parts was, I had a quick look at Todd's website, Marvel Phoenix. So I think the only one I've actually opened box-wise is number 1 and number 9, which is the main body of the car. I think what I need is in this box. Now, I do have a deadline of when I need to get this diorama done, and to be fair, over the next month or so, that's where I'm going to be really cracking on with this. Something else in there. Now, luckily for me, someone is very, very close to me who has quite a large laser cutter. Now, you all know this person. It's Mike Lane. Now, I don't think I need that. That's part of the engine, so that's fine. I can put that one away. Basically, the laser cutter I have is not going to be big enough to do the front sheet that I need. So what I'm hopefully going to do is basically design the front sheet to be laser cut on possibly like 3mm MDF, and hopefully have all the brickwork all lasered into it. As I say, my machine won't do that, but luckily I know a guy who does. And Mike has graciously said that he's happy to help me out and do that for me. So thank you very much, Mike, if you end up watching this at some point. Right, so we've got the start of the chassis there. Now, what I need to do is just pull up the instructions and find out what we actually do to this chassis and whether we just need to go straight into the next box. Okay, we've got the suspension mounts to mount to this. Now, from the looks of it, actually, we do have a few suspension parts. Now, my plan is that I probably will put the suspension on it. You saw in the picture there that it didn't actually have any suspension on it. Now, as I say, that's probably just a bare frame straight from Aston Martin that they've just used for dressing purposes. That's engine components. I will need to build the engine at some point, because my idea is the engine's going to be on a hoist. So I've got to build a hoist as well. I know they're available to buy, like RC hoists and things like that. But I'm going to see what I can build myself. Don't actually know what's in here. This feels quite weighty. It might have still another part of the chassis actually. Yeah, so we've got the centre section now of the chassis. And you're very right there, Bug. This Mike is a treasure. Speaking of Mike Lane, this might be my first Agora build, but I do have an Agora car here, and I'm going to be doing a power mod to it. That's for the E-Type, so that'll happen on the channel at some point. Right, so let's put that onto one side because we don't need that on just yet. So we need this piece, and we need this. Now, I don't know if I'm going to get to the dolly today. It might just be that I build the chassis of the car. Just see how quickly we can get through it. Now, I'm using the Agora instructions, not Todd's at the moment. What we've got here, DSO 2 screws. Okay. Of course, I need to try and keep track of all the screws and things as well, and try and keep them safe. So I might need to get a pot or something for these, and some labels. So it looks like this is going to slot in just like so. And we got 3 DSO2 screws that are going to secure that together. Hey, yep. Right, so 3 DSO2 screws. Now, I was most surprised when I saw that Agora Models actually shared my post. So, if anyone comes on from Agora Models, then hi. And thank you for obviously sending me this. Again, if you're not aware, Agora Models have sent me this as part of this diorama competition. Now I've just done that. I just assume that's what we were doing. It's right. So yeah, Agora Models has sent me this free of charge as part of this competition. Effectively, this is a part of a prize, and I think it was going to be one of 3. Then it became one of 6 because apparently there was too good of suggestions, really, and Agora increased the prize pot to 6 people, and I happen to be one of those 6. And yeah, part of the prize is that you win the model of choice. So this is my model of choice, DB5, No Time to Die, although it is going to be modelled on the one from the Spectre. I have no idea about any of the other dioramas that are in the pipeline from anyone else. Haven't heard anything at all. Looks like we're joining the chassis together now. So that's going to go on there like so. And can I assume, as we've only got DSO2 screws, that's going to be what we're going to use? Yep. Right, so DSO2 screws are going in from this side. Now, originally I was thinking the car would probably be the last thing to build, but when I worked out that ideally I need something to reference for the dolly and some of the other accessories, it just worked out that it made sense to do the chassis. Very nice. Are you doing any videos on that Bergdis, or are you just sticking with part works? And I bet they are Bergdis. Right, so that's 4 of those screws in there. Let's have a look at the next one. Joining front and middle chassis, stage complete. Looks like we're now building the right wheel hub and fitting the upper right control arm. Now, obviously, you didn't see the wheels or these parts attached in that screenshot, but my idea is that I can pick a timeline effectively any point from where it entered to where it left, because at the end of No Time to Die, End of Spectre, he was driving off into it. So you know it's being restored and fixed. So I'm just sort of picking any point in time where part of it's attached, part of it's assembled. So it won't look exactly the same as the screenshot, but the main thing is obviously there's going to be the building and the vehicle itself in the center. Everything else around it is just going to be sort of dressing. Right, so we need this piece, and that's going to go in there like so. We have the brake disc, or brake caliper. We need some DS21 screws. Do we have any? There we are. These silver screws. Try and get that window dragged over there, and I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. I think it'd be good, Bergdis. It sounds like you do a lot of full-size projects, to be fair, and don't have enough time for your part works. Right, so we've got the wheel or the disc in there like so. Going to follow that up with this piece, and we're going to attach that somehow to the vehicle. We need the 2 brackets. Now, is there a wrong way up? Can't see that there is. Let's try and work out which way we're putting this and where we're putting it. Looks like it's going to go there. And attached with these 2 brackets. Is that right? Yeah, looks like it's right. What we're going to use to secure those DS27 screws. Which are these ones? Just glue everything. Just put glue everywhere. That'll seal it up. Right, so that's one. Just going to get this bracket partly in as well. So as I do bits to the diorama, I will try and do some sort of ad hoc videos, but probably won't be videoing the whole process, and more than likely will be something that will feature again on a Tuesday live stream. Now, if you did miss when I first showed you that front piece, I did mention that I'd sort of done a little bit of designing in 3D space. So I've got a reasonable scale and shape and size of different bits, but now it's just a case of taking them from virtual world into the real world, which in my head seems like a nice quick process, but it's not going to be. Right, let's put a DS21 screw in there. Probably going to be a spare, so it's probably fine. So we've got that bracket in. And now we're moving on to pack 23, or stage 23, I guess. This is the lower control arm. You surprised me, Bergdis. I thought they'd be like everywhere near you. Right, let's try not to lose the spring, because they have a habit of rolling off the workbench. So we need to take the lower control arm and the anti-roll bar connection and fit them together. I guess that's that piece. So we've got a D-shaped hole. That's going to go in like so. And we're going to use a PS31 screw for that one. It's Agora like fan home where they always give you one extra screw for everything. And I say this is my first Agora build, so just sort of assuming that seems to be the case at the minute. And presumably they're all packed in stages like fan home sort of thing. So it's not a case of they give you all the screws at once. Right, so that's attached there. Making sure I actually did put that in the right way up. Did. And then that is going to sit in there. Looks like we're just using these pins to hold that in place. So trying to get those tangled up. Right, let's have a look. So that's going to go in there, apparently. Just use the end of those pliers to push that in. Now, presumably, we're going to do the same for the other side. Golfs are brilliant cars. I had a Mark III, 1996 Mark III Golf. Only a TDI, but still a really good car. Right, get that one pushed in there as well. So we now have the lower control arm attached. Now we need shock absorber. This one. That's going to go in there like so. And then one of these is going to go through there. Again, just going to push that all the way in. That's as good as it's going to get, I think. Thank you, Howard. Really appreciate that. I don't have an asset like Wayne does to say I've been dashed, so I've been dashed. Yeah, I had a Mark III. My brother, I think, has got a Mark VI at the minute. And I had an Octavia VRS, which was based on the Mark V Golf, I think it was. Right. Being dashed really makes you lose your train of thought. Right, where am I? So now I need the spring. That's going to go on there. That's going to go in there. Nope, everyone thinks it's the Passat. It's not. It's the Golf. It's basically a Golf with a big boot. It's had the same wheelbase as the Golf. The Passat was the equivalent of the Superb in the Skoda world. Right, so now I've done that. Oh, that goes in there. That then goes over top of that. And then we need another one of these pins. If I'm honest, I didn't look at all the instructions before this, and I thought this would actually be quite a quick job. And now I'm wondering, it probably isn't. See, the first thing that sort of came to mind was the Phantom Raspberry blower of old London Town. If you're familiar with the old Ronnie sketch. Yeah, to be fair about this, it does feel like a massive car, the Octavia. So much so that I've still got the boot liner for the Octavia, and I've had it in a Vauxhall Insignia, which from the outside looks like a huge car. The boot space about the same as the Octavia, and the one I've got now, which is a Mondeo, Mark IV Mondeo, and yeah, the boot space isn't much bigger than the Octavia. So it was an absolute TARDIS, that thing. It always surprised a load of people when opened the boot, and it was bigger on the inside. It really was. Right, so that's attached there. We now need to attach the wheel hub, which is going to go this way around. That's then going to capture it like so. And we use a DS 24 screw top and bottom. Now, I should probably be putting these in oil. If Wayne was here, he'd probably screaming at me, telling me that I should do that. But for the minute, they're going in okay. And I know full well that they're going easier if I used oil. Right, so we've got that in there. Now, eventually, what might happen is the diorama itself will probably get put somewhere or sold off or something, and I might end up building the full car eventually. So that's why I'm sort of keeping hold of all the boxes and other parts. So that's in there. Okay, and that's actually that box complete. So that's great. We can move on to box number 4. Now, I think box 1 and 2 I need to open at some point because, see, that's going to be engine parts. There's actually an engine part in this box as well. So, but I'm going to keep those safe and just make sure that everything I did have out that I'm not using currently is back in the box. Try and keep some sense of order. I'm really running out of space in this workshop. I should have built it twice the size. Right, what box did I want now? 4. That's 5. That's box 4. Right, we'll just move those to one side. Again, I'm assuming we've got an extra pin as well. Anyone else built this? Right, so after half an hour, one box has been done. I've got that little bit of the chassis. So I really don't think I'm going to get onto the dolly on this video. So the next time you see the dolly, it might not be a length of metal anymore. It might actually be part of a dolly. So we've got a wheel there. I'm not doing the wheel. I'm not doing the spokes at the moment. And I'm probably not even going to do that for the car. My original plan might have been that they were going to be stacked up in the corner. But I might just completely leave them out, to be fair. So let's just skip through the instructions a minute and see where I am. So it's going to be the rear section of the chassis. Probably going to need those. Not going to need the wheel parts, as I said. Probably going to need this box. I reckon that's where the chassis part's going to be. Yep, I'm sure lots of people will be telling me that I should be boiling them. And as I say, I know from first-hand experience that it does make it easier. Now, I know Wayne's been on about it for ages about putting oil on screws. When I did the Eagle Moss DB5, I did it then, and that was years ago. I think that predates Wayne's channel. So it's just something that I've always sort of done and found it a lot easier. I think it might have been on a Facebook page or something like that someone said about doing it. Right, so that's going to go on there, like so. What are we using to attach that? Three DS02 screws. Where are they going to go then? Because I've got more than 3 holes. Where is that going? Oh, wait a minute, have I jumped ahead? Have I skipped a step? Am I looking at the right? That's why. I was looking at pack 5, not pack 4. There we go. That makes more sense. Look at the right pack, and then it'll all make sense. Right, let's just get that back where I can see it. Right, so we're actually going to be building up the other wheel hub. That's what we want to do first. So we've got 24, 25, and there's 26 there. Soon that'll be one of the next ones we do. Right, get those parts out. So, same as what we did earlier. That's going to go in there. That's going to go on back there. I know Todd actually painted his ones of these. I'm not going to go that far at the moment. What's the screwdriver done? There it is. Hey Ian, how you doing? So we've got those two going in there. Put that to one side. Take this piece. That's going on the side of here. Again, I don't think there's a right and a wrong way up for this. So let's grab that one there. Grab one of these screws. Hey Ramon. Try and get that aligned. Get this one in as well. And that's going to help line everything up. I'm doing very well, Ramon. Thank you. Get that one in there, and then finally this one in here. Right, so that's those in, and that's that stage complete. So put that to one side a second. And we're just doing a mirror image of what we did a minute ago. Put the screws to one side. Try and trap that spring before it runs away anywhere. Right, we need this piece. That's interesting. That's in a little bag this time. Wasn't in the last one. Right, so that's going to sit in there like so. And we need a PS31 screw to hold that in place. I'm hoping tomorrow the Supra will be on the channel. So that's pack 3 of the Supra. There's not a great deal to do. We're just building up more of the engine. So that'll be on the channel tomorrow, and hopefully the Megazord will be on the channel on Friday. Right, and this is going to go in there like so. And we need our pins. Don't roll away pin. Now I'm just going to quickly glance through the instructions and go on the assumption that they is exactly the same as the side we've just done. Now I've made those sort of assumptions before and it's all gone wrong, so it looks like I'm safe to just mirror what I've already done. So get that one pushed into there. Get this pin pushed into here. Now, if I was clever, I'd have probably watched Wayne's videos to do this one, to give me a bit more an idea of what I'm doing. But I'm going to rely on the Agora instructions for the minute, and hope all goes well. Right, so that's in there, and then we need this lower one. That's going to sit in there. We need another pin. Now, we had the rain already this morning, Ian. It's now warm and muggy sort of thing at a minute. Try and get this pin to capture that piece. It's got to go in from the other side. Where have my pliers gone? Amazing how you don't move from anywhere and you manage to lose things so easily. I wonder if it had been easier to push this in before it was attached to the car. That'll probably do. It's in enough, I think, it goes through to that piece. Not loose, so that's okay. Might try and bash it in with a small hammer later, if I remember. So, then it was the spring, wasn't it? Yep, spring, then the top one. Don't know if I like these being red. They might get a paint in black or silver, maybe grey. They just look too bright to me, in my opinion. So I might end up taking this apart. Right, so that pin is going to go through from one side to the other. That's in there, like so. And then, was it attach the wheel? Yeah, attach the wheel hub. So wheel hub in there, link it down like that, and then it was DS24 screws, was it? Yeah, DS24 screws. Wow, woman. And that must have been entertaining. The subways are getting flooded. Right, got another DS24 screw in here. Right, so that's that wheel hub on. Now what? Got the fitting of the steering rod. Is that going to stop me from putting the chassis on? Probably not. So I think I'm going to skip all the steering linkage at a minute. I'm going to try and get the chassis done. So that's the wheel, so I'm going to skip that section for the moment. Tyre, this is what we want. So the rear chassis section. It just needs to be attached with 6 DSO2 screws. So not going to do the steering linkage at the moment. Might do the link between the two, but I don't know about the steering wheel at the minute, and that sort of side of things. I don't know how much the interior I'm actually going to be putting into the car. It is clear from the picture, you can see that it does have at least a seat in it. So it has some level of interior. DSO2 screws, I said, wasn't it? So I'm going to have 6 of these going in. Now, doing this rear section of the chassis is not going to inhibit me doing the front section at a later time. But having the chassis in one piece is going to give me a good idea of the length I need to make, like the shortest part of the dolly that I'm going to build. As I say, it should be fully adjustable, and that dolly might actually end up being useful for builds in the future. Or if I decide I'm going to repaint a body or something. And to be fair, I do have a small inkling that I might want to change the Agora Jaguar from red. It might be going a different colour at some point in the future. Right, so that's actually this box complete now. Without the all I've done is miss out the steering linkage, and I've missed out the wheel for this box at the moment. So that's pretty much what's left in this box. Wheel parts and steering parts. So, 10 minutes left of the stream or thereabouts. We'll put all those to one side and we'll see what's in this last pack. Wow, you really need to catch up on the Skyline there. I think I've only got 2 packs left to finish the Skyline. And I don't know if you're doing the 66 Batman build, but there's only 4 packs now for that one. Right, so we need a rear chassis, which I'm going to go with is probably in that box. So Vanhome decided that they were going to change the amount of issues that they were going to give us for the last bit. I feel like how Agora wraps all their parts up like this. So it makes it nice and well protected. Right, so this should be the last part of the chassis, really. So it's going to be 3 DS02 screws that's going to secure this together. I need to flip that over. And that's going to go just there. Now, is it because you haven't had time to do it, or you're worried about stripe gate with the misaligned stripes? Although, by the time that's all sorted, I'm sure they will have probably sent you the parts before you started building it, Bergdus. Now, I still don't know whether they're going to send us a new frame or not. They had that post out on the customer support page saying about replacing parts. Now, they used the word frame, but in the list of the parts that they said they were going to send out, the frame wasn't one of the items listed. So I don't actually know what they're doing. Right, so let's have a look what else I want to do with this chassis, if anything. So the next bit would be building the rear axle. How's that attached to the car? I think what I'll probably end up doing is putting the axles in place. Don't know if we actually use the axle stands or not, or whether I just leave the rear axle completely empty and then use the dolly on the chassis or on the wheel arches. And at the minute, the dolly could support it based on this section here, and therefore I can make it quite a short dolly, which could extend to, say, this. So that would give me the shortest point that I need. And obviously, if I have that as the shortest section, effectively it can be extended to double the length of that. So this is where I'm now showing you that when it comes to the dolly part of it, if I can actually get this to come back out the end, if that was, say, half of it, so there, then that would extend out again another half. So that will probably be a good point to know where I want the dolly. So if I support it on those 2 parts and use that as my basis, probably, or it might be that I have to put this on the body and see where the wheel arches are and see whether it goes to that point. Because the whole point of the dolly, if I show you this again, I don't know if this one is or not. I've seen some where these arms are adjustable widthways, as well as obviously this section is lengthways. So depending on what I do here, I think this is attached to that and then that slides along there, so I think that one is adjustable. I'll probably do this a little bit differently, and the sense that I'll probably have to use, I don't know, actually I might just bolt that through and keep that in a static position, rather than making this, because you can imagine if I just put a single bolt through there, what will happen is that the legs could do this, which is why they've probably got this square section welded onto that upright there. But that's hopefully the idea. So this will support the car in the tunnel, and it'll be on a dolly about like this. One thing I don't know about, I don't know if anyone else has got any ideas. These casters, I'd love to be able to do some scale casters. However, I don't know if they're even possible to do. Now, I could probably get some sheet metal, bend it over, fold it, and then do a 3D print of a wheel, and then put a bolt through it. That's as far as I got at the minute. They don't need to swivel, really. I just want, ideally, I'd just be able to move it forward and backwards. But obviously, it's got to be strong enough to support the weight of the car. Now, I know you say about the dollies on the suspension points, but these dollies can also support just bodies. So they'll support them on the, I guess, the shock tower mount points on the body itself, as opposed to if you didn't have a chassis, if it was a monocoque body. So if I don't have the rear suspension in place and the rear axle, then that will go to the point where it sits inside the wheel arch, and where the, I'm assuming that's probably what those two holes are for, actually. That's probably where the shock towers would go, or the springs, I guess. So it would have to support it there, and then at the front it would probably support it on this frame. So that's obviously two different widths. So be interesting to see how the dolly comes together. But now I've got this, it gives me a visual idea how to construct the dolly, because you can imagine if I just started cutting this up and making shapes, it wouldn't fit this. Even though it was adjustable, it probably wouldn't actually fit that properly. But I think that's all I'm going to be doing for tonight's stream. As I say, I probably will put the linkage in just so that the wheels don't do that when it's up on the trolley, because that won't look any good. So at the very least, I'll put the bar in there, so at least they will stay parallel with each other. And yeah, I don't know about the rear axle at the minute, but I definitely want to put the body over the top of this and give me another idea of what I'm going to be doing for the dolly. Right, just trip over all the rubbish I've chucked on the floor. So that's where I am. Now, if I just put that way around, bring up this section, and hopefully it'll give you an idea of how much additional space there is around the vehicle. And you can see visually, I think this tunnel opening is probably a little bit small when you see the actual film. But the idea is that I want that about there, enough space on this side to have the engine on a hoist. It's probably going to stick out that far from the tunnel, because I say I've only got a meter depth that I can work with. So if I put that sideways, it's probably going to come out almost 2/3, something like that. And the main part of this diorama is going to be the front piece, the car, and looking into the tunnel. So the rest of it, I'm probably just going to have it draped in either black cloth or completely painted black, just to take your eye away from it. So the visual impact will be the front piece and, as I say, looking into it. My plan is I'm going to put a couple of little LED lights in it. So if you look at the movie, you'll see that the tunnel is lit by a couple like fluorescent lights. So I'm probably going to use some cop lights, same as what we got on the Skyline, because I think that behind a bit of printed, 3D printed clear perspex, clear plastic, that will create a nice illusion of a fluorescent light. So the tunnel will be lit. There will be a couple of racks of shelving, and on that, there's going to be a few Easter eggs. So my idea is that there's going to be things like the man with the golden gun, potentially have like a ballpoint pen, a lighter, and his cufflinks. And just trying to think, I'm sure there's something else that creates that golden gun. I want to do, I've said this before, I want to put Wayne's head on the shelf, just as a bit of a fun item, but it's going to have on it the bowler hat from Oddjob's bowler hat. But there's going to be various little Easter eggs like that. There's going to be a few. So hopefully when you're looking into the model, you could be like, oh, I know what that is. I recognize that. I know where that's from. And give a few more things to just give, rather than seeing a car and a tunnel, it'll give a little bit more interest that you can actually see a little bit more what's going on. As I said, hopefully at some point this might come back on a Tinker and Talk, and it will evolve a little bit longer. And hopefully there'll be some more videos on the subject coming in future. As I said, hopefully tomorrow we'll have the Supra, and on Friday we'll have the Megazord. So do make sure you stay tuned for those. And hopefully I'll see you next week on another Tinker and Talk Tuesday. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers.